In this video, you're going to learn how to open your root chakra just by looking at your own birth chart. You're also going to learn how your chakras close in the first place and how you can open your root chakra either on your own or by looking at the planet that rules this chakra. Hi everyone and welcome to On Banfasa. So my name is Emma and I'm a Kundalini astrologer and a Banfasa. So here I'm going to be sharing with you how you can see your root chakra in your birth chart. So first of all, let's go over the root chakra. The root chakra is associated with security, your foundation, safety, and survival. Now, how does this work for us? So when we go out into the world, usually during adolescence or our teenage years, maybe even as far as early adulthood, we may experience things that are negative. Easy example could be, let's say, you're bullied. Let's say you go to the secondary school or high school, you're trying to fit in, and maybe you get bullied. One way this can go is that you can continue for that to happen, or you can allow that experience to define you, or you yourself may become a bully later on. And so what happens is that your identity starts to become shaped, and that is who you become. So basically you step into an alternate self, or you start to develop the alter ego as a means to survive. That's what the root chakra is all about. It's survival. It's what we do to get by. We move into an environment that doesn't really align with who we really are. And so to keep going, we have to transform into something else. We have to take on an alternate persona so that we may continue to survive. What else? I'm trying to keep this YouTube friendly, so I'm sorry if I can't give the best of examples, but no matter how bad you go through, no matter how bad the experiences you have are, try apply to that. Okay. So when the Muladhara chakra closes, it's because we have gone against who we truly are, just so that we can remain safe in whatever environment we're in. But unbeknownst to us, our conscious mind, we continue to be this way. And that, excuse me, that can further, that can progress the chakra more to close. See, there's two parts to this chakra. It's not just one. Why? Because there's two houses associated with this chakra. Let's just dive straight in so you can understand this chakra better. Root chakra. What planet is it ruled by? Mars. Mars is the lord of the 1st and 8th house. Aries and Scorpio. You can also say Ketu is the co-ruler of the root chakra, but mainly we will always just focus on Mars. Now, Mars is a fighter, a soldier, a survivor. Apply that to the root chakra. Mars is going to do whatever he has to do to survive. Because remember what's associated with the 8th house, death. The 1st house is life, the 8th house is death. So he'll do whatever he has to do to stay alive. He will transform into whatever he has to. He will be like a chameleon. He will blend in with his environment, with the crowd, so that he can stay alive, so to speak. So what does this mean for you? You may have been hurt physically, sexually, emotionally, and then you allow this to become part of your identity so that you can survive. However far you go with this will be down to your birth chart. But ultimately, it's very hard to keep this YouTube friendly. I don't know if I get flagged even for saying a certain word, so. But we become the very person who hurt us, in a sense. We blend in, we go along with other people's expectations of us. We may be peer pressured. You know, it's very much down to what your Mars is and the nakshatra that your Mars is in to really determine what way it's going to go. We also have to look at the ascendant lord to see what's going on. We can't just look at Mars on its own. And I'll get into that in the 8th video, the 8th part of this Kundalini Astrology series. I'm just trying to keep it simple for now, and then as we go along, we'll get more into the depths of Kundalini Astrology. So, how do you open it? This is my chart. Here's Mars. I don't know if you can see it very well, but here's Mars in the 6th house conjunct Moon in the nakshatra of Bharani. To open any of the chakras, so ignore Moon because we're focused on the root chakra. To open Mars, we're going to look at the house lord that Mars is in, which is Mars, it's in its own house. But if it's in a different sign, you would take the house lord. So for this, there's only 2 lords. Usually you would have 3 lords that we use to open a chakra. So you have Mars, the planet associated with the chakra, which is Mars, and then the nakshatra lord, which is Venus. You combine these together to try and ascertain the right information that we need that's associated with this chakra. Because what happens is we start to formulate a false identity. That becomes our security with this chakra. As time goes on, we have developed a false sense of self to make us feel secure, because we didn't know any better at the time. It's what kept us going at that time. So you use those 3 or 2, depending on what sign your Mars is in. 3 lords, so the house lord, the lord of the chakra, which in this case is Mars, and the nakshatra lord that Mars is in. You combine these 3 together to get the information that you need to open this chakra. And you can say the same applies to every chakra, but we'll get more into opening the chakras as we go along, but that's the basics of it for now. So for me, I am, and then followed by another word, boom, root chakra opened. Can't say the word, it's not YouTube friendly. Amor was part of the word, which is associated with Venus. Basically, I was anti-committal. That's who I became as a result of what I experienced. That's how I survived. It's the only way I knew how. So, timing. When is the best time to work on the root chakra? Moon. We look at the moon transits to help us open any of the chakras. So when moon, so for instance, for me, when moon transits Mars, that's my root chakra day. So if you have Mars in Ashwini, you wait for the moon to transit Ashwini to open your Mars. If your Mars is in Pusha, then you wait for the moon to transit Pusha, and then you can open, or potentially you can at least work on the root chakra on that day. You can do your Bij mantras on that day, or listen to them. It really helps activate the chakras. But of course you have to know exactly what you're looking for. And of course you're not going to find what you're looking for in Google. Whatever you find on Google makes it very generic. But the Kundalini journey is very individualized. We all have our own individual birth charts. So why wouldn't Kundalini be its own individual experience for us. I hope you can understand somewhat of how to open the root chakra. Look at your Mars and go back, look back in time. What happened to you that you became something else or someone else to survive another day? Because you felt in that moment it was the only way you could fit in with your tribe, your community, your peer group, your friend group, whoever, your relationships, your work. It's going to vary so much for everybody, but generally the chakras close when we're young. But of course, everyone has different timelines. Anything else to add? I could speak a little bit more on Ketu. So Kundalini is traditionally associated with the 8th house, whereas the first house is more our persona, our personality, our identity. The 8th house is associated with sex, death, rebirth, transformation. And as I already mentioned with Mars, we transform into someone else, the alter self, so that we can survive whatever bad experiences we went through. That's the transformation of the 8th house. But that also gives us the power to transform back into who we once were. That's the power of Ketu. Ketu helps us detach from who we were to who we become, and then back to who we once were before. That's Kundalini. Simplified. I'll get more into it further down the line. I'm actually doing this video in a hurry. So that's it for today. I don't know if you can understand it or not. If you have any questions, comment down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you know when the next video is going to be uploaded. But especially my 8th one will be very interesting. And also the 9th. I know my Kundalini. You won't be disappointed. In a nutshell. I can get more into it if you want me to. But ultimately, Mars is a soldier, a fighter. He does what it takes to survive. And then you have to ask yourself, who did I become in order to survive? Who did I become in order to feel safe? What makes me feel secure? Who am I as a result of what experience? These are the questions you can ask yourself to help you activate your root chakra. But also, as there are 2 parts to opening this chakra, one part will consist of you taking an action, and that action will start to undo the damage that was initially done to the root chakra. So let's say you have an issue with boundaries. By making a stand, by being firm, and by putting down a boundary, that can activate the root chakra. Then the second part to opening that chakra can be just coming to the understanding, the realization that I explained with the 3 lords. So it could be 3 words like me. I am this. Boom. That's a false self though. Don't think that when you open that chakra based on something like that, that's who you truly are. It's not. That's the alter self. Once you come into the understanding of who you became, and once you embrace that dark side of yourself, that side that you actually have negative emotions towards, you're actually releasing that side of yourself and stepping back into the authentic self. So I hope you can understand. I might be making it too complicated, but this Kundalini astrology is not for a novice beginner. And yet it can be pretty easy to understand once you know at least beginner astrology. That's all this is. It's in the later stages of beginner astrology. So that's it for now. I hope you found some use in what I shared. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2, which is the sacral chakra. Take care. Slán.